Hey, good afternoon, folks. We're here for another training video talking about something that some people have had issues with, and that's a small breaker. So we're going to start right back here inside of our cart. I want to mention a couple things. We call this our relay panel or control panel. You notice right down below that, we have our frame number on our cart. Sometimes our parts department will ask you for that number. We want to make sure that we know what parts go where. So we're going to start off by opening this up. I happen to carry a pocket screwdriver. You may have a pocket knife. My dad uses an X-Acto knife and he can open it. So we're going to open up our panel here. You can see that we're not messing with a new machine because you're not messing with a new machine. You work in the dirt, we work in the dirt. So we have some small breakers inside of our panel. Not every panel is the exact same configuration. It depends on the year of machine that we're working on. But these are standard across the board. These are actually handling AC power. So the first thing I want you to notice, PTO is not on. Do not ever touch this cart if your PTO is running. If you do, you're taking a chance. You're playing Russian roulette with a loaded gun. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Don't take chances. Shut off the PTO. If the PTO is shut off, you're not in danger. So we're going to do some testing here with a multimeter. You can see a picture of this particular multimeter in the back of your manual. I'm going to go to the ohms setting, which have a little horseshoe on it. I'm going to go all the way to 200 ohms, and I'm going to do some testing here, and you're going to look at what we're seeing as far as ohms readings. But I want you to understand what we're testing, why we're testing it. That way we can help you get parts on the way to get you back up and running. So the first thing we're going to test is this little bitty breaker right here. This is called a double pole breaker. So in other words, it has two poles. It's one solid piece. It's a 4 amp breaker. This is actually energy coming from the generator. PTO is off. And I'm going to test for ohms. So most people would tell you to test your breaker from top to bottom. I disagree. We have had issues where the breaker shows good this way, but it is in fact a bad breaker, and we don't want that. We want an accurate reading. So I'm going to tell you to test from pole to pole or side to side. So we're going to test from the bottom here. We're going to get our ohms reading. We see that our ohms reading is a 0.4. I'm going to go to the top. I'm going to get my ohms reading. My ohms reading is about a 0.5, 0.6. So pretty well the same reading. If this breaker was bad, then we would see a different reading from top to bottom. This breaker is in fact good. I know it's good. This is a working machine. But you'll see when I turn the breaker off, my reading will change. I now have an open limit. It seems to me, I found a lot of these breakers, when we have them fail, if I have guys test them this way, we get them diagnosed right the first time. Guys that want to test, top to bottom, it's a 50-50 shot. So please test it my way. We'll get you some parts sent out. This is not a terribly common failure, but a lot of stuff vibrating and rattling around. This is how you test it. Once again, this is for a small breaker testing on the AC side. Now, we're going to move on. We're going to do some more testing here. This breaker here is still on the AC side, so we're going to test it the same way. I'm going to choose one of the poles on this one and the pole here. You see that on my multimeter, I have a 0.3, 0.4. Next one over, I have that 0.5, 0.6. That's where we were at before, so that's coming into the breaker. Actually, it comes in down here. So once again, we see that we're now aligned on the right pole. So this breaker here is also good. Once again, we had never ever asked anyone to test with AC voltage. The only thing we'll ever have you test is ohms. Number 2, 12 or 24 volt DC power. This is standard power from the battery on your tractor. So we're going to go ahead and move on to that testing there. I have my voltage symbol here. the little bitty V with the dashes and the solid line above it, that is my DC voltage. This is my AC voltage. We don't test AC voltage on weed zappers. Okay, so I have it set on 20 volts here. I'm going to go ahead and turn it up to 200. Now, we have 3 terminal strips here. I'm going to identify them here with my handy dandy pointer. The first one is blue. It has blue wires hooked into it, top and bottom. The second one is black. Black wires hooked into it, top and bottom. I call these terminal strips. The last one is red. Red hooked into it, top and bottom. So the way this system works is we get 12 volt power from your tractor, 12 volt DC, and it comes to us through the plug up here, and that is on 12 volts. So if I test from black, which is my ground, you can simply take your needle of your tester, stick it right up in there, and test over here, sticking it up in the red hole, you would find 12 volt DC. If I test over here to the blue, I would find 24 volt DC power. Now, if I don't find 24 volt DC power with the monitor switch on, then the first place I'm going to check is this small breaker right here. So power comes into the bottom, so I should see 12 volt here if my switch is on, and I should see 12 volt here if my breaker is on. The up is the on position. Red means danger. Danger means the breaker's on. Green means safe. Safe means the breaker's off. I know that's backwards than what we learned in driving school, but we're not driving, we're testing for electricity. So once again, black is negative, red is 12 volt, blue is 12 volt, or 24 volt, I'm sorry. So, once again, we would test power coming into the bottom of the breaker, power going out the top of the breaker. If we see 13 volts coming into the bottom of the breaker and we see 10 volts going out the top, bad breaker. We're looking for the same reading at the bottom and the top. Okay? All right, I think that sums us up on testing breakers inside of our control panel. Any other questions? Give us a call. We're here to help. Thanks and have a blessed day.